Today on Make Break, I'm sitting down with a lifer of Bay Area thrash. Eric Peterson is the founding guitarist and primary songwriter of Testament, one of the bands that helped define the second wave of thrash metal coming out of the Bay in the 80s, and somehow still keeps pushing that sound forward 4 decades later. He's the only original member who's been there since day one. He's carried Testament through every lineup change in every era, and he's still out here writing riffs that sound more feral than bands half his age. On top of that, he's the brain behind Dragon Lord, his symphonic black metal project that lets him lean into the darker, more cinematic side of what he does. Testament's new record Para Bellum is out now on Nuclear Blast with tracks like Infanticide AI, showing just how far they're willing to stretch the thrash template without losing any of the bite. And in recent interviews, Eric's been pretty clear that there's no retirement plan on the table. As far as he's concerned, this goes to the end. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Eric. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So the whole point of the show, Make Break, there's a, double, triple, quadruple meanings to it. Just works. But when you hear the phrase make or break in the context of your own life and music, what's the first moment or decision that comes to mind?
So, making your music something that's close to your heart, the music that you're really into, and then, making it happen, I think. And the break would be getting out there and pushing it and, getting a break that people will actually like it, maybe. I think when I was younger, we were very eager to do what we do. We got out there, put flyers on cars and, obviously there was no internet, but we got out there and really pushed ourselves and went to gigs all the time and just, got out there and played a lot.
I think that's like, you mentioned a number of different things in a row that are actually like super crucial, and they're all involving like getting out there physically, like a person, believe it or not. Crazy. I know everyone's so focused on digital advertising, it seems, but like all three of those, it's flyering, networking. It's a shitty word, but like it's true. I mean, if you want to use an official-ish term, but then connecting with people, let's say.
Yeah, that's what we had. I mean, people don't get out as much or maybe drive as much. Back when I was younger, everybody had a car or they're taking the bus or they're walking around town, looking at posts on the streets, a lot of flyers, stuff like that. I mean, you still see stuff like that, but now we have the internet and everybody's walking around on their phones. So that's just the newer way to do it, I guess.
That's true. That's a good way of putting it. It's also not so dismissive of all of that as well, which I really appreciate. There's like a lot of legacy acts that sort of, I don't know, there's some people that can sort of turn their nose up at like the newer way of doing things, but it's every new thing is going to have a whole
It's the same thing. It's easier actually, with being online, but there was something about the way we used to do it, just getting out of your house and making stuff happen. Rather than sitting at home and doing everything digitally. I don't know. I mean, I'm old school, so that's where we come from. Obviously, we do things digitally now, but I think, I don't know, I miss the old ways, definitely.
Yeah, I think that, and that third thing is playing shows, loads of shows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We were playing every weekend, I think, back in the day.
Damn.
Well, now we play every day, but, yeah, so...
It's needs must, right?
Yeah. For a new band, though, I think it's important to, not plan it, just get out there and make it happen. So
that's actually a good point. Like you've been doing this since the early 80s. What point did you realize, okay, this isn't just a band. This is my actual life's work?
Wow. So probably when we started going out on tour and, realizing that, okay, there's no looking back. I'm not going to go to college. I'm not going to get home and get a job. Although we did do that for a little bit, work here and there. But once we realized that we were, in it to win it, and this is what we wanted to do, you realize that you really have to push through, I think.
And in terms of pushing through, you've said recently that you don't really see a retirement in the cards, that you could keep going forever. What does forever look like to you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, no, I get it. Yeah. So forever to me would be like now when I was younger, but, seeing my heroes like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and Deep Purple and bands like this, they're still out there doing it. So it's, it's kind of paving the way, like how far can you go? Mm-hmm. So, look at Mick Jagger. I mean, he's 82.
True.
Different lifestyle, different things take care of themselves and, you know, people watching out for them. But I think for what we do, I mean, our music's more intense. You almost have to stay on tour to kind of play our kind of music. It takes a long time to build up the integrity and, you know, just to stay on your game. You know, it's really hard to take a break and then come back and play Infanticide AI or Into the Pit or all that stuff. It's just, you know, I think our first 2-3 practices, if we don't jam for like 2 months, it doesn't seem impossible, but it's just like, oh, here we go, you know. But we know that we're going to get there. That's why we go through the motions. We don't trip that, you know, we suck right now in that moment in the studio. We're just like, whatever, let's just get through it. Let's just, you know, we're just kind of on autopilot. Like, you know, just if we stop, we don't go, hey, you stop. We just like, oh, shake my hands out. So, but we get there. It's cool. I mean, we always get through it, and we kind of know the process now.
I mean, it reminds me of, and I swear there's a question coming, but when it comes to my business partner, Chris, who's the founder of V13, he's been encouraging me to like take care of health first, which I've been neglecting because, you know, it's not nearly as physical. You know, sat behind a desk. I'm like, that's all right. I'll deal new dad and whatnot, and I'll get to it later. But that's taking its toll. And so now I have to kick the dust off. And actually today, first day back at the gym, feeling it, but it's necessary. So I definitely feel that having to come back to it and having to like almost like retrain all over again and realizing like, oh man, I've got like a longer road in front of me than I realized.
Yeah, it's better to stay on your game with that too. I mean, like playing music or anything physical, if you're sore, it's better to revisit that rather than to wait, you know, because it'll take longer to recuperate. You just got to kind of keep the wound open a little bit.
Nice. I guess that leads kind of perfectly into my question, which is physically and mentally, what did you have to change in your 40s and 50s to keep playing at this level that you didn't even think about in your 20s, if anything?
I mean, nothing really. I mean, I feel like when you start a band, whatever age you're at, mentally, maybe you kind of stay that age in the band.
Okay.
You know, a little bit. I mean that's more of a metaphor, but it's like, you know, you grow as a person outside of it, and, you know, with life experiences and stuff. But I think when you're in the band, we're always going to be kind of that mindset, because we're writing the same. You're kind of, once you find your sound, I mean, obviously you're going to experiment and, you know, write new music, but once you have a formula, you kind of got to stick to it. So something like that.
I have to ask, what's harder now, the travel and the stage or the headspace of constantly needing to like plan the next thing?
Probably a little bit of both. I think mostly the traveling. I mean, you know, standing in line at airports, that's pretty hard, you know, an hour in a line. I mean, that's like, your brain's like, ugh. That, to me, that's like the hardest part, you know, getting to the gig and playing. That's the fun part. But probably traveling, I think, is pretty hard for any band, especially when you're doing it every day, especially when you travel like to South America, because they don't really do tour buses down there. You know, you can't go in your bunk and lay down. You know, it's lobby call at 4 or 5 a.m. and your flight's at 12 and you're going to get to the next city at 4. You know that it's just going to be really a lot of boredom and just standing around. Just
in those moments with boredom, like, it's first
not
of all,
boredom,
can I just
but
say,
just like you can't do anything. You're like, you're in jail now. You're like, can't go anywhere, you know.
Right. Like, all right, here I am. Like, I got to make something out of my time now, but I can't
stand in line, got your backpack on. And
I have traveled a fair bit, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I'm sure that there's other people that are like, that doesn't sound so bad. They've never had to do it for prolonged, sustained periods, you know.
I think if you have a day off when you're traveling, that's fine, because you get to the airport, you know, and most of us, you know, it's 9 in the morning, 10 in the morning. We're like, let's go get a beer. You know, have a beer in the morning, and, you know, of course you pay for it a little bit later, but I don't know, it takes the edge off a little bit, probably.
Fair enough. I mean, went on tour, right? To a certain extent.
Yeah.
Pivoting to Para Bellum, I have to ask, what in particular did you not feel like you had said after Titans of Creation that you needed to get out of your system, I guess, in a way, now with Para Bellum?
I mean, nothing really. I mean, it's another record. So it's like, okay, let's, I think every record we feel like when we do it at that time, we're doing the best we can. And then it's always like, okay, now here's our 12th offering. Here's our 13th offering. Here's our 14th record now. And it's like, how many times can you play those 5 chords and come up with something that is, as good as your old stuff, our first 4 records, which is classic because it's stuck in everybody's head. So to them, it's like, that's classic. I mean, I'm the same way with bands that I grew up listening to, like Iron Maiden or Priest or stuff like that. My favorite is like their early stuff, bands like that are around for a reason because their new stuff is, got some quality to it still. I think with us, it's each record we treat it as, our first record kind of. You have to. I mean, you can't just go, okay, now what are we going to do? You almost got to kind of reinvent yourself, but you have a formula, and you can't really, what's the word? You can't really push it, because when you're doing art, it's going to take time. It's not just going to come to you. I mean, it can just come to you, but it happens at a more slower and quieter, or in the space it's quieter where you're doing it. So I don't know. You can't rush it. It's not like an algorithm. You can't. I mean, they can exist, but you can get maybe influenced by something like that. I mean, algorithms are new to me, so with the whole internet thing. So, but I guess what I'm saying is, the new stuff that we have. I guess what I'm kind of listening to, the newer music that's out there, but I always have in my heart, Iron Maiden Killers or Unleashed in the East, or, some of our first recordings that we've done, or, that's the stuff that just grounds me. But then there's the new stuff that I'm like, you know, try to recreate. And I'm a fan of metal. So, I mean, I still listen to this kind of music. So to me, I have to picture like, I want to hear this kind of sound rather than trying to copy something or, just, I think that's cool. I have to listen to it and go, that's cool. You know, I
Right.
mean, right now, if you said, I think our new record's good, but I've heard it so many times now that I kind of forgot that feeling, because there is a feeling when you first hear something and you're just like, whoa. So I got that feeling from like all the songs on this record, when it was first written. So I was very happy with what, the riffs that I came up with, and then jamming with Chris and working them out. And, the feeling I got when I first let Chuck hear it, and his, just looking at him, seeing what, his body language and what he's, what's he going to say after he hears it, or
Right.
any of the members of the band, they're like, cool, or that's heavy. Yeah. And then there's
Nice.
the ones, maybe some of the members don't get it and they're like, maybe we could do this, or maybe you could try this, or, stuff like that. And that's usually Alex. He's usually like, maybe the lead section can change keys. Maybe we could try a different key there, whatever. And, I hear what he's saying. There's a lot of times where we do the same riff, but we'll just go up to C sharp, but rather than E, and kind of mess around with stuff, but something like that.
At that, yeah, at that point, it sounds more like experimentation, just to like sort of almost like you're chipping away at like, let's just make sure that we've tried all these other options, and just to make sure that what you do have is the best way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're bringing a sketch to the band, but it's not like don't like the sketch. I make sure that the sketch that I bring, of the art that I'm creating, I like it. So I'm going to go, I really like this. This is what I think.
Right.
And then they could, race apart and go, well, what if you do that? And, we always try stuff. That's what's great about, I think, being in a band, or it's very important, is to be able to try things, not just go, no, even if you feel strong about the way it is, you just got to put on your poker face and go, okay, let's try it.
Yeah, exactly.
It ain't going to work. No.
It actually, what you were saying earlier about like the first time, it's almost approaching each record as like almost as if it's your first.
Wow. Well, like I said, I always stay grounded. And a lot of times when we're working on a new record, especially this last one, I sat down with Chris and we listened to like our first 2 records, and we just kind of went, okay,
Cool.
and then we listened to the last one. We're like, all right. And then we listened to
Mm.
some new stuff that we're into. Like, all right. and we didn't just, we weren't like, 12 in the afternoon, you know, eating a sandwich. This is like, midnight, couple beers, watch a gory movie and just, being fans really, and just like, and
Nice.
listening to other stuff. So I guess the connection would be, the quality and the style that we had back then, which brought attention to the community of metal and the fans. And then seeing what's cool about it, I will already have riffs at that point. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking this, check this out, try this beat, do stuff like this. And, it's pretty much like that,
Yeah.
and then we'll
That
jam on
sounds like
stuff.
a
We'll just take off, we work with a program called Logic, and we have a MIDI drum set. So everything's kind of to a grid, and you can, change stuff with the drums, add notes or whatnot. And I've said it before. I mean, once you get past the red light fever of recording, you end up jamming for a half hour to 45 minutes. And then, you take a break, listen to it. And there's always a section where you're just like, oh, right there. You forgot that you did that. I'm like, wow, I don't even remember doing that. Because you're just going through the motions, and that's where a lot of the magic happens, I think, because it's a
it
feeling,
really
But then there's stuff that's planned out where you're really working something out. And that comes also from the stuff that just happened spontaneously that the universe threw at me, and I'm just playing and feeling it. But then there's the part where you find it and then you go, okay, now I got to think of what's going to come before that or what's going to come after that,
I'm like, as you're describing it, I'm like, oh God, that's exactly how it feels when I'm writing. Like there's like this flow state. And I don't even remember reading, like I read stuff back and I'm like, all the stuff that I thought was great, whatever. This part, I don't even remember this, but this is kind of good, actually. Like,
Yeah.
that's such a cool feeling, isn't it?
Yeah. If you get stuck on like you're trying to describe a feeling and you're like, what word can I use? You just keep typing, I mean, obviously you're going to go back and proofread it and go, no, then I know what I was trying to say, but I can, I'll go ask
100%.
Chat GPT what should I say? That would be cool. Like stick the riff in there and go, what do you think I should do to this riff now? I mean, I'm sure there are things like that, but I don't think I'd ever, I don't know, it'd be kind of interesting, I guess, to see that. But then again, it's funner to create yourself. I think for literature though, it's interesting to use that kind of information to see. I would imagine kids in school now are using that for their essays. And so, I mean, you can get influenced by it and trigger your mind to like, wow, yeah, that's a good idea. And then, it just depends on how you use it, I guess. You'd have to reword it all. And I'm sure the professor's like, I already know what that says. And this is your
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're bringing up really, really good and like, frankly, very topical, crazy important points. When the act of making, there's things that break down a lot of the barriers. You see the themed make break there. But it really is a case of like, first of all, yeah, there is definitely a Chat GPT for music. There's a lot of where you can just sort of like issue a prompt and then it provides a musical output. It's been taken obviously from a whole sea of data and information of actual
For sure.
musicians, which is its own like separate like cluster. So not even getting into that, it's interesting to hear you speak about it as an artist where you're looking at the opportunities as opposed to the like, not the licensing and royalties or is this like a thing that allows me to still, you're not worried about legitimacy either. You're kind of wondering like, okay, well, it's merely an exponent on how you create. So for instance, if you are a sycophant and you are a narcissist, well, guess what? ChatGPT, you're going to love it because it's going to absolutely service those things and keep on steamrolling and getting more and more like praiseworthy. If you're, if you're actually quite strict and regimented and have an intellectual backbone, let's say, and you're using it for very specific things, I think you'll get exactly what you want out of it. But in either case, everybody's getting something, right?
Yeah.
So I think I think it was very insightful what you just said. I just wanted to bring attention to it because I'm hearing a lot of discourse around it today. And I'm like, I feel like we're always rewarding the most extreme views for engagement. I think what you said is a lot more balanced, a bit more.
You got to keep it human, even
Right.
though we created something and then the creation's throwing it back at us. We got to just take that for what it's worth and just, maybe get influenced by it. It's just pushing you to try to do better or get an idea or some spark.
Yeah. It's
So,
what are you willing to accept is, I think, the biggest thing. For example, like if I think more than ever, one's taste in things has never been more important. That's just my own opinion, but like, how do you feel about do you feel like that's true? Like, do you think it is a matter of like taste, or is that just breaking down these days?
well, yeah, one's taste is their identity, and that's what gives you the uniqueness of what you're doing, writing or music or anything, cooking, the way you're going to do it. And yeah, I think that's a good answer.
Nice. Speaking of taste, I have to ask. You mentioned watching some gory movies. A huge horror fanatic myself. Just this year, as much as it's been a bit of a bastard, I have managed to finally release a horror novella. So I'm very excited, so I'm a horror nut. Please, if you would do me the favor of telling me like what some of your favorite go-to gory films are, I would be super pumped.
Well, I mean, going back to the original, which is still kind of, the first zombie movie. I mean, which one I'm talking about. The
Night of the
black and
Living Dead.
white. Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
that's the best one to me because it's so innocent and they're so unknowing and they don't have the same old lines. It's just like, freaking out like, what are they doing? Now we know what they're doing and we're,
A bit more
we can
self-aware.
expect what's going to happen. But a lot of my other ones, I think the one that kind of rocked my world and scared the crap out of me. I probably watched it too young was The Exorcist. So
How
yeah,
old
I
were
seen
you?
that probably in 5th or 6th grade.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think my
Holy
dad took me. My
shit.
parents were divorced at that time. My dad thought it was a good idea to bring me along and yeah, that was just like, wow, okay.
Oh my
And
God.
that's still I don't think anything's beat that movie possession wise. I mean, there's some good stuff out there that I really like to watch. But I really like the Evil Dead stuff. I like, especially the 2000. I like, the original one's good, but the 2013 one is really good.
Right
I
on.
really like the new one, Arise. Is it Arise or Rise? I think it's Arise.
Uh-oh. I
I think it's
don't know
Arise.
that
Yeah.
one. Hmm. That's
Yeah, there's some that I think just are too much. I mean, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that's pretty gory.
hmm.
But there's that one with the clown guy. Terrorizer.
So
Is it Terror?
Terrorizer, yeah, Terrifier.
Terrifier. That's it.
Terrifier.
Sorry.
So yeah, no worries. It's yeah, that one's that would probably fit cleanly in extreme horror.
We were, I think we were on tour. We went and seen it, and we walked into this theater, and there was all these a really cool arcade there. And we're like, oh man, after the movie, let's get a beer because you can get beer now at the theater. And we're like,
Nice.
oh, let's get an IPA, and we'll go do this shooting dinosaurs and you know a lot of cool games. And we're like, yeah. So after the movie, I was just sitting there going, I think it was just us in the theater, and then I heard some guy laughing in the back. I looked back there, and this guy was dressed up like the Terrifier, and I'm just like, and then we walked out. I just felt weird, like I almost felt like I got stoned and I was paranoid or something. I really don't like to. I'd rather have a beer, or a drink or something. But marijuana has got to happen at home, and it can't be like in public. Like I'll just freak out. I mean,
Yeah.
some people it goes the other way with other people, but
No, I'm the same way. I can't do it
yeah, pot's not my
anymore.
thing up on that end of it. So, but yeah, when I walked out, I just had this like, we walked past and I'm like, go on a plane. No, let's get out here. And we looked behind us and that guy was walking out and we just looked back. I go, let's get out of here, man. I'm not into this right now.
No, I mean that's oh God. It's because that's like the whole point of the series as well, is that he's just this guy that's kind of like hanging out. And
It's like
if anyone else,
senseless. It's just senseless and like no, and that's the scariest thing is when there's no meaning to it, There's no revenge. There's no, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll show later why the Terrifier is the Terrifier. That would be a good story. Like, oh, that's why, but it's just like random, senseless, and that's scary,
Mm.
because that means it's like you can walk into your house and your mom just stabs you in the face with a knife.
Totally senseless. No, we do. Yeah, no, you bring up a really good point about
Well, we're
horror.
talking about
Like,
horror right now, so I mean that's
yeah, it's kind of
but
goes with
yeah,
the
I mean,
territory.
and that's horrifying. But no, I like some of the other stuff though, like especially yeah, the Evil Dead stuff. I'm a big fan of it, like that.
Yeah, Raimi is. Yeah, he's an auteur. I mean, at the end of the day, but
And then the stuff that's not so horrifying, but it's still wicked. I guess it would be more in a horror rating. It would be the PG or the G would like the new Frankenstein. That's really good. I like how the twist on that the Del Toro did on that. That I think that's really good.
well,
The
I
scene
haven't yet seen it, but I want to so badly.
that's pretty good. I wish I would have seen it in a theater, but I think it was
Mm.
out for like a week. We were in Europe, so
I mean, I really am looking forward to seeing the new one. What were there any other like PG-13 PG types that not quite as extreme, but any others that actually stand out to you?
not at the top of my head right now. What are some of your favorites?
Bit artsy with it, so I do love Hereditary. That was really, I think anything that has like cults, like a collection of people. I think that's like, to me, that is the most terrifying. I cannot, like, I really get like, y'all are agreeing to this. You guys are all in on this. Like, there was it was an English thriller called The Kill List. I forget what year it was, from over 15 years ago, I think. And as the story progresses, there's a hitman and his partner, one last job, but they start, shit deteriorates very quickly. And then weird shit starts happening. Perfect. Then, like, it's just, there's a larger enclave of individuals. They're all acting in concert. And it's like, I don't know, that really gets my goat. So that Hereditary.
Yeah, Hereditary, was that the one with the little girl? And she's got some
yeah,
kind of not
like,
powers, but like insight to something or
there's
something
like
like
this.
that.
It's something along those lines. It's by Ari Aster, who also did Midsummer, and
Oh, that's yeah. Those are yeah. Those are
talking about
crazy.
cults, like that was the other one. Yeah, those are like, goddamn. And then I actually watched Beau is Afraid, but that's like not a horror film. That's just like an anxiety attack the way through.
Have you ever seen Green Hell?
Green Hill?
Hell.
No. Oh, Green Hell.
Yeah.
Green
I think
Hell.
that's the title. I think that's the title. It's about these activists that go to the Amazon.
Green Inferno, I think, is what you're talking about.
Is it Green Inferno? And their plane crashes and they get
I think it is Green Inferno.
caught up with this cannibal tribe.
Yes, I haven't
and
seen
the one
that,
girl
actually.
makes it out. The one that didn't want to go or something. That's a good flick. That's a really good one.
That's Eli Roth. Yeah, I have yet to watch that one because I watched Turistas Not Sober, and for some reason, Turistas is like a, hostel, but like in South America. But something about it just, I don't know, it really freaked me out. So I think seeing the Green Inferno being like an even more intense, like
Green Inferno. Is it Green Inferno? Green Hell? Huh.
I did do a little cheeky little Google just now, and I checked it. It's the Green Inferno.
Okay.
Yeah. But you've given me reason to check it out. I was going to ask, like, I mean, you've got loads of time on the road. Have you ever, like, how are you about taking a paperback, horror novel or something like that, and just like downing a few of those? Has that ever like been your go-to?
Yeah, I mean, I read on tour. I mean, I always end up falling asleep. That's a good way to fall asleep too. If you can't, fall
it's really
asleep,
good.
Is to read. That's
same.
I always tell that to people. They're, man, I didn't sleep at all last night. It's like, get a book, especially if you don't like reading, because you're just like, ugh. But yeah, there's horror wise. I don't know. I'd rather see a movie, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could tell me some good horror books that keep your attention. The last book that I was reading on tour was Master and Margarita by a Russian author, Mikhail Bulgakov. That's like I think that's what a lot of, like in North America, whatever, we have Moby Dick and, Perfume and The Prince and all these books that you read in college. But in Europe, that's one of the books that they're reading. I know a lot of people here in the States, they're like, what's it called? but that's a really good book.
Yeah, I'm seeing it all pull up. It's written in the Soviet Union between 28 and 40. Wow.
It's a
thank
really
you.
good
That's
book. It's a really good book.
that's
Really
this
good
sounds
story.
like really good intel. Thank you.
Yeah, so
I'm always on the look for.
It's funny because it starts off with these two guys, and they're, it's the early 19th century, or like 19 something, 1908, or I don't know the exact. Maybe it's late 18th. I don't know, but they're discussing, religion. They're atheists, and this one guy comes in, and he's kind of odd, but he speaks Russian, but he intervenes with them, but so he's the devil, but he tells them that Jesus is real. Like but it's just clever the way it's written. And then
That's
they're
super
having
cool.
and he even tells them how they're going to die, and then I won't give it away, but it's
Super cool.
some
That's
stuff
a really cool
unfolds and
setup.
happens, and the younger guy's all freaking out, and and
Love
then it
that.
even goes to a fly on the wall where he's either I think he's a cat, and he's listening in on the conversation with Jesus and Pontius Pilate, and it's just really interesting. I don't know. It
That's
goes on, and it gets
fantastic.
into like a romantic story, and each chapter's different. It's a good book. I mean,
I have to
we're not
check that out.
talking horror here, but it's really cool.
No, that's a riveting, and that's the thing is I don't have to have just horror. Like I'm, as long as it's a fascinating premise, I'm there. Yeah, if I had to recommend anything, like there is one called Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez. I'll send just a little blurb on it. It's if you're willing to down a larger book and take your time with it, the great thing about that is that there's like 4 different sections that kind of act as like standalones, but then if you read through them, they all coalesce into a whole, which I kind of love. It's hard to do that.
What's that one called again?
It's called Our Share of Night.
Our Share of Night. Okay.
Yeah, I'll send it. I'll send you the title and the author. It's an Argentinian writer, and the translation that was done for her is phenomenal. And the story itself just spans decades, and it's just crazy. It's not. It does go to extreme places, but not gratuitously. It's not like some splatterpunk thing. It's actually really done with like poise and grace. But God, I could talk horror all day. But major pivot now. I'm gonna focus back on your process. We're talking about writing. I mean, take me into your actual writing process. Like, so does it usually start with like riff, drum pattern, mood, lyrical idea? I know that you like to jam it out after a period of time and like you had to take inspiration, but where do you think it like tangibly usually starts?
It usually starts, it's not so much the content, it's the art. And I mean, they don't have to conflict with each other, but I think you have to experiment, you have to mess up, like I was talking about earlier, where there's a lot of senseless stuff going on. And then there's always something. There's always a rough and, a diamond in the rough. I always say things back. I almost said the rough and the diamond. But anyway, I messed up. So I mean, it can't be rushed. It's just, I mean, there's times where we know we have all day, but the magic will happen in like, 15 minutes. We'll go down there and just, sometimes we'll just go, and I'm like, let's go watch a movie, or let's go, let's go for a walk, or let's go get something to eat. And then, it's really cool because Chris understands. He goes, we're writing, we're eating, but we're still writing. We're making stuff happen. I mean, when you're writing, even though you're doing something else, you're still writing because you're in that mental state, and you're kind of unconsciously aware, but everything you're taking in everything, because it could be something where you see something and you're like, oh, that reminds me of this, and then, oh yeah, and that music, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's stuff like that happens all the time with me. And then, so I mean, you never know, you can just go for days with nothing, and then it just all pours out. But you have to try. I mean, you can't not try, because you don't have any ideas. You have to kind of push yourself, I think,
Almost like,
God, I wish I would win, you're like, I wish I would win the lotto. And it's like, well, you got to buy a ticket first. And, that's the first step. You got to get out and go do it, maybe buy a couple tickets.
Yeah, I think that's exactly, I've heard it said that like if inspiration is going to find you, you better be working already. And that's like perfectly encapsulates that, is that you
Yeah, I
need
mean,
to
you're
be.
never given a problem without a gift for you in its hand, but you have to, you have to push through. I think that's been my experience, at least.
I've
Everything's going to
actually never
happen the
heard
way it's
that.
going to. Yeah.
I've never heard that expressed. Like, so you're never given a problem without a gift in the hand as well.
Although you have to work for it,
Although you have to work for it.
You can't just go, oh, I got a problem. Fuck. You got to just, you got to solve it, but then
As
you
well.
never know what's going to happen when you're trying to solve it. Something else comes along,
Mm-hmm.
or you gain some experience on maybe I shouldn't do that.
I mean, I really like what you said about like, we're eating, but I'm still writing. There's like I think there's something that people that are much more on like business or entrepreneurial side don't truly appreciate about the creative process as much. They don't.
It's okay to take breaks. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're
Yeah.
outside, and you're sitting down with the acoustic guitar and you're jamming with someone and you just get up and jump in the pool and they're like, hey, I thought we were writing. It's like, I am, it's okay
Right.
to get up and do something else, stay in that element, but
How do you protect that headspace? How do you protect that time? Like, because there's so much noise always. There's like, there's press, there's social media, there's just logistics and tour. How do you protect that?
well, like I said, I mean, stepping back sometimes, and I mean, staying in that perimeter of what you're doing, but it's okay to step back and maybe not try to be as consistent. Like, I mean, you can keep pushing, but you're going to end up, if nothing comes to you, sometimes you just got to get up and do something, because something's going to happen. For me, a lot of times too, I have to, if there's dishes or something, or something's not clean, or I know something needs to be done around the house, I'll just start doing it. Maybe you're sorting through a box or something. All of a sudden you see something, go, shit.
Pivoting again here, I gotta ask, because like I work on the industry side with music and with publishing, and you've lived through basically every version of the music business. I'm talking like big labels, the CD boom, the crash, file sharing, streaming, social media, now algorithms and AI. I have to ask, which era for you was actually the hardest to survive as a band like Testament?
To survive. I mean, we've survived through all of them and we adapted. I mean, I wouldn't say the hardest, but the one that took the longest is when you're younger and you don't, you have a studio maybe in a different city and you got to take the bus there. You don't get to jam as much because you have to, do your stupid, shitty job to, I remember when we were Legacy, we all had, like 3 of us had a job at we were longshoremen. We had to drive Subarus off the boat and wash them with kerosene. And that job was, the cool thing about that job is we would work for like a week or 2 weeks, and then we were off for a couple weeks. And that's when we would jam. But I would write songs in my head when I would, especially when the car comes off the wash line, with the car, because you have to wash all the wax off the cars. And you take the car and you have to go drive it. And depending on, what's on the order, what it's going to have in it, is it going to be a bass line? Is it going to have this? Just you're by yourself. And I remember I would go over like the haunting. I would just, in my brain, I would categorize each riff. Like, should it start with this riff? What if I start with this riff? Is it going to start off with the middle riff? Then I was like, I'm all, no, should start with the, so wait, what's the question again? I'm sorry.
It's okay. I do the same thing, first of all. Secondly, that's fascinating to hear, because when you're almost allowed an opportunity to be like mentally, I guess, bored, or like at least.
What's hard? I'm sorry.
No, so what was the kind of hardest period of the industry? Because I said survive, but you're right. It's not a matter of like, that makes it sound like you're struggling to. What I mean is like, what's the hardest to sort of, what sucked the most? If I had to be like more candid,
so
is like
but like
what part sucked the most?
So okay, yeah. So going back to what I was saying, that I mean, in the earlier days where technology wasn't available and so easy, but we adapted. I was writing in my head. I didn't have the guitar on, but I was picturing how is it going to go in my head, and then when I would get to the studio, it was that much easier. But with today's world, Logic and having your own laptop and your your quad cortex or your, plugins, whatever you got, you can get, studio sounding sounds right away.
Yeah, very little
So,
uplift before you're
yeah.
already like pumping out.
But
Like,
they're all hard. So I mean, I guess what it is, it's the same thing what I was saying earlier is you're never given a problem without a gift for you, but you have to work for it. So like for me, technology is just harder for me sometimes because I'm just looking at all these buttons on the screen. I'm like, what the, I just want to record right now. I just want to press, and that was cool about the
yeah,
older days. I guess the hard, but then again, once you learn it, you get all the shortcuts and stuff. But I just want to get on with it, especially if you get an idea. And then technology gets in the way to where you have to learn the technology to write. And I guess in the old days, you just had a cassette player from Radio Shack and just, record, play, and you start playing and you get your idea. But now you got all these other options and, better sound. You pull it down on your screen and email it to all your, friends rather than making a tape. And yeah, next week I'm going to see, Alex or Chuck, and then I'll give him the cassette then, or, you
right.
know, it's like, hey, I just wrote this, check it out. Boom.
Yeah, like instantly. I mean, so we've removed a lot of the friction. It actually kind of leads sort of into my next question, which there's like, what's something that people romanticize about the old days of the industry that in your experience absolutely wasn't romantic?
Wasn't romantic.
I mean, people too tend to like retcon history when they get all nostalgic. Like, oh, I miss when you could just join a label and everything would be made in the shade. And I have to regularly tell them, absolutely not. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. I think I always look at things as, we plowed through and, unless it's something that didn't happen, but most of the things that we applied ourselves to as the band, I just romanticize it. I don't look at it as like, I didn't like that. Uh, I mean, maybe not playing a song that, should have been played or something like that. I don't know. That's probably not the right answer, but I don't
If it's
know.
honest, it is the right answer.
Well, I mean, like when we wrote Return to Serenity, it was on the radio a lot, but we never played it. Some of us felt that it wasn't really who we were, but it was who we were. It's now we're playing everything. I mean, like our new record, Scott. We come out swinging. There's even some black metal inflections on it and really hardcore thrash and. Chuck's vocals are kind of all over the map from what we've done in our career, from Demonic, The Gathering, The Legacy, Practice What You Preach. And I love it. I love that we can do all these different styles and not just go, okay, we're just a one trick pony. And it keeps it interesting, I think.
When it comes to like where you go next with it, you're going to be touring very shortly. What do you have in terms of like, is there anything you want to signpost, any potential shows or tours for fans who might be waiting, expectantly, that you want to let them know ahead of time about any upcoming tours?
I mean, the record came out right before fall, so there's only 4 months left in the year. So it came out in October. So you got October, which luckily we had a tour. We had the Thrash of the Titans, and we were in Europe with Obituary, Destruction, and Nervosa. And that went really well. And it was perfect because we had a new record out. Now we have to wait till 20 to get out there and keep promoting it worldwide. I can't really give away where and when, but we are definitely doing North America. We're definitely doing South America again and some Asian countries for sure.
That's a nice little.
And I think we skip 2025 festivals in Europe. We're going to be doing a lot of festivals in next summer in Europe.
Right on. We're coming up to the, like, I'm trying to tie things off nicely. So I guess I want to talk about like when we make something, we don't ever think, or at least we're not really supposed to think about like what effect it will have. It usually sucks all the fun and meaning and worth out of it. But looking back, you've influenced a lot of bands across multiple generations. So how much do you think about like legacy as in like leaving one, like in the more, and how much are you just focused on like what comes next?
Well, I mean, yeah, we are getting older and, I don't want to say the end is near because we're going to rock till we drop. I mean, at least that's what we've all kind of agreed on, but you never know what brings, what the future brings. But yeah, I mean, we've discussed it. Like, what are we going to do? And like, when we do bring it up, we're like, no, we're going to keep going, man.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I mean, looking back, I think we have a nice catalog to leave behind. And yeah, and I think we never compromise. We always just try to stay on point on what we do. And I mean, it's hard. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to repeat the same, you know, especially with Testament's music, the foundation is E, G, A, and A sharp. I mean, we're just doing I do that all the time. But it's like how you do it and how does it feel when you do it, you know?
Exactly.
And I'm surprised that I'm like a lot of times when I show like even Alex or, you know, some of the other guys, wow, that's a new sound. That's really cool. And maybe it's 2 records later. I'm like, those are the same chord stick. I've just kind of been realized that lately. I mean, I don't think about it, but you know, sometimes when I'm in my head, like when we were writing The Haunting, how I was calculating where everything's going to go. A lot of times I'm just like, I'm doing the same chords every song. But it sounds different. And that's the feeling and the tempo and what Chuck throws on top of it. And that's cool in a way, you know,
100%.
that it's not the same, but it's our sound. Like ACDC, you know, they're doing a lot of E to B to D to G, that, you know, their formula, but they don't all sound the same. You can't go, oh, Sin City sounds like, you know, Back in Black.
Hell no.
Or whatever, but, you know, not that they're the same chords, but they're in the same, you know, formula.
Vibe. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that actually brings up a good question, which is like, when it's all said and done, what do you hope people say Testament actually, you know, stood for? Or what's the reputation that you would like them to have had? You know, what do you want people to say about Testament? Like, oh, Testament, they insert quote here.
They gave me a good feeling and took me somewhere, you know. I'll probably come up with a great answer after we get off, but
story of my life.
Yeah, I mean, no, you know, I think it's where we're at now. It's just, yeah. I mean, we gave everybody a good feeling, you know, and for this type of music, heavy metal, and just putting it on and just going, yeah. And, you know, and just having, you know, good lyrics and good riffs and, you know, some good melodies that you can hum in your head. That's very important to us. There's a lot of bands that I like right now that are new, but I can't hum any of the riffs to save my life. You know, if you would say, I won't name any of the bands, but like, what does a riff do? And I don't know. It's just going. But when you're listening to it, you're just like, wow, this feeling is just, you know, it's really crazy.
I know what you mean. It's almost like stand out and something that like you can kind of keep on coming back to over and over. Like there's a sustainability to it. I guess that actually, I'll end off with this one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, please.
Well, okay. So what I want them to get out of it, I just thought of this, is it's the soundtrack to part of their lives. You know, it's something else was happening in their lives, and that song, they're listening to this song and it reminds them of that time, you know, hopefully good times. And, or if it's a sad time, that song got them through something. And I remember a lot of our fans saying, you know, your song got me through a lot, got me through these hard times. And so, yeah, I just thought of my answer.
Nice. Yeah. That's why we gotta have a second to kind of let it mull over and then come back to it.
Yeah. See, I started talking about something else and then.
Oh, yeah, no. It's last one I'll end off with, I guess. So for the kid right now in their bedroom learning Testament riffs off of YouTube and dreaming about doing this for a living, what's the most honest advice you can give them about what it really takes?
Keep practicing. The internet is great for learning riffs. I mean, I probably don't know as many songs from other bands as I would like, just for the fact that I'm better at writing my own riffs than learning other people's music. But I noticed when I want to learn something, I could go on the internet and I could probably find it. I remember trying to figure out Sails of Charon by the Scorpions, and that took me forever to learn how to play that, because I had to sit there and just going, what is that? I mean, I can't even remember my own riffs sometimes. I'm, you know, when we go back, hey, let's play this song, and I'm like, Alex, what did I do? He's like, you went like this, and I'm like, you know, because he'll listen to it and he'll probably picture the notes in his head, but sometimes like I don't even know what I did. I mean, I played that, but I don't even, you know.
That's got to be a little bit terrifying.
Like, it is. But then, you know, once it starts like, oh yeah, that's right, you know. It's like, but then, a lot of times it's like, why didn't I just, I'm going off your question out a little bit,
Yeah.
straying from it. But sometimes you don't need to do each one different. Like most people aren't going to notice. It's just satisfying your own will or whatever at the time when this one thing that you're doing works every time, like a variation.
Can I
I
play
find it
cause
find later it's better to just have, done it this one way, which is the really cool. But then let's do it a little bit different here. And then live, they're like, I thought you said to do this note there. And I'm like, yeah, but just do this.
I was just going to ask, like, can I play devil's advocate and say, why is there worth to that? Like, what does it give you? But I think you maybe answered that question already.
What? I mean, changing it up?
Has there been
Because you're in the
any
moment, you
particular?
just want to, there's probably some alternatives to something and maybe it's cool at the time, but it's probably more solid and better for the future of playing the song again to keep it, the original way, not having the variation that doesn't really matter, that no one's probably going to ever notice but yourself. So maybe that's the selfish part about being a musician, then now you're talking about people that are really, like jazz or something where you're really just, they're not at the show headbanging and feeling good. They're just like, what's he doing?
I have to thank you immensely just for making the time and also like speaking with me so candidly and giving me insight, and whoever else listening.
Yeah, I think we kept it real, We probably stumbled on some questions and whatnot, but you asked some good, honest human questions and just you got to really think about like, wow, yeah, what would I do and what did I do and why did I do it? And
It's kind of our thing. We try to be humans here at V13, just like, try and cut away a lot of the usual performative bullshit that I find this industry tends to do.
yeah.
Yeah, it's I wish it wasn't such a rarity, but I feel like what we're doing is a little bit unique for it. But
Yeah.
hopefully people can start to just shed the nonsense and just be humans to each other. And but I appreciate you just sliding very comfortably into that unprompted. And dude, I am very pumped for you guys for 2026. That's looking and shaping
I'm
up to be very
excited too.
cool.
I can't wait to play this stuff live. I think not more than ever, but in a long time, I think we really want to play a lot of these songs live. And we would always, if we had a really nice ballad, we'd always shy away from it. But I'm really excited to play Meant to Be live. And we did this one tour this year earlier. Was it 25? Yeah. We did Practice What You Preach in its entirety. And we did some storytelling and we busted out the acoustics. I think we did like 5 ballads in one night, which we went
Yeah.
from not playing any to playing all of them. But it was really cool because we broke it down with the acoustics and we did some ad-lib stuff to warm up. We didn't even have a plan. I would just start playing something and then Alex would join in and Steve would join in. And then we would just kind of go, okay, we're warmed up now. Let's play the Legacy now or something. But I'm regarding the new record. I'm real excited to play, a lot of this stuff on there. We'll see what we all agree on, but I think we all are digging what we did.
Me too. Thank you so much for coming on the show and for speaking with me. And like I said, super pumped to see what comes next.
Right on, man. Thanks for having me. Good chat.
My pleasure. Likewise.
Right on, man. All right.